It's Tuesday, July 22nd, 2025. You're listening to another episode of Wes and Shelly Share, coming to you from the lookout point above Jackson Lake Lodge in Grand Teton National Park. And today we're going to talk a little bit about, just the last couple days here in the Tetons, and then some summer camp highlights from our 4 weeks of summer camps that we taught this year, and kind of some things we want to do next year. So, Shelly, what are you seeing right now?
Right now, I'm looking out at Mount Moran, and it's the tallest peak here in the Grand Tetons. It's beautiful. I can see Jackson Lake across the way. We're out here by them ourselves right now. We just hiked up from the lodge and on a lookout point. We're sitting on a rock and just enjoying the beautiful view.
So we have a family wedding that we are going to on Saturday, and we are so thankful for the opportunity to be able to be here a little before and after. And so we flew into Denver, Colorado on Saturday and rented a car, which is actually a Subaru Outback that is really awesome. Every time we rent a new car, we enjoy the new features, like all the, dash CarPlay. Yeah, the big screen in the middle. And this one, the Subarus have not only great cruise control and following technology to keep you a safe distance away from the car in front of you, but they also have this lane correction, which I like on the interstate, but I really don't like on a 2-lane road. But it is a lovely vehicle, and it's awesome, and it enabled us to discover something pretty cool after we spent the night in Rock Springs. So you want to tell about, what was it called? Granite Springs Hot Pool?
Yeah, so Wes got on early in the morning. I was sleeping in and found this neat breakfast place. We had crepes, which were
Jack's Crepes of Rock Springs, Wyoming.
So good. And then went on to drive up this direction and found a hot springs. It's actually supported by the National Forest Service. That's right. And so their campsites, it was about 25 miles off of the main.
It was a 10-mile gravel road, but it's about 15 or 20 miles just south of Jackson Hole.
Yeah, so it was a hot pool. So, of course, in this area, there's all kinds of hot geothermal features because of the volcano and all of the active things. Anyway, so there's this hot springs. It's like a big swimming pool. And they drain the pool every morning and fill it up with hot. It's just the natural hot water. It was about 85?
Well, they said in the summer it's cooler because of the runoff from the snow. So it's in the low 90s, about 93 degrees in the summertime. But it's even hotter in the winter because everything's frozen and it doesn't have that runoff. So it's a little over 100. But yeah, the water just flows out hot from the mountain, and I actually made a little video. I'll try to include a link to it, kind of showing off the hot springs. It has a filter pool, so it filters sediments and stuff, and then like Shelly said, they let it completely drain, and then I think they have some hoses, kind of hose out a little bit. But it was amazing and relatively big.
And we had a beautiful picnic. Of course, you're in bear country, so we always have to be bear aware. But we had a picnic and met some really nice people. A lot of people come in from Colorado. They're farther down. There's a camping area that we might check out later, which was really nice. But it was just a great way to start our vacation. It was nice.
And it was really a example of sort of rabbit hole internet reading, because we had a pretty jarring experience the day before. We were safe and fine, but we were at a standstill on Interstate 80 about 55 or 60 miles east of Rock Springs, and there had been a bad multi-car accident with fatalities, and that had happened at an area where they were already having construction and down to 2 lanes. And so anyway, we ended up sitting there and thankfully didn't have to go to the bathroom, didn't have to, be desperate for water, read our books, had connectivity, got to, find out what was happening. it was really fine. We were not, having trouble, but it really made us think about how important it is to be prepared with water, with cash, with extra clothing, with different things, because stuff can happen at any time. And even when you're traveling like that and in a rental car, we were a little more vulnerable. So, I was trying to look for news about the wreck and didn't find it, but found out there are all kinds of wrecks that happen, and fatal wrecks in that part of Interstate 80. But then read a little bit about, in a local newspaper, this avalanche area, I think it's Hobart Canyon, and they have really tons of rock slides and snow avalanches in the winter, and they're putting in this new system. But as a result, I found out about Granite Springs Hot Pool. And so anyway, that was a fun discovery and a part of the greater Jackson Hole area. I think it's part of Grand Teton National Forest, perhaps, that we can explore a little bit later. So,
well, and then we continued on after that and met our daughter Sarah and her boyfriend Robbie up here.
And Sarah's college roommate Jenna, who they had been visiting with in Idaho Falls.
So we're staying here in Grand Teton and had an opportunity yesterday to go on a early morning float trip for about 2 hours. Of course, we were hoping to see animals. We did see a lot of birds. We saw 4 sightings of bald eagles and a blue heron and some sandhill crane, a pelican. So a lot of birds, but it was just so peaceful on the water early in the morning. And we had amazing views of the Teton Range.
One thing we learned is that the Grand Teton Lodge Company, which is owned by the same company that operates Vail, bids on this contract, and it's good for 15 years. And because of COVID, they've been on like a continuing resolution, like year to year. But the bid is out now, and there's about 9 different companies that operate on the Snake River currently. And anyway, they're about to find out about that bid. But they have a 20-mile stretch that they operate on. And so there's an upper tour, which was the one we were on, and then there's a lower tour that ends at Moose Junction. Ours ends at Dead Man's Sands Bar, something like that. And so I think that we've done the lower one for sure, because it ends at Moose Junction. It's a little bit longer of a drive back. But that's something, if you're going to do the tour, which is wonderful, and we've done this before. They used to do tours where it would be in the evening and they'd cook dinner and cook a steak, and they don't actually do that anymore, I guess, because of liability issues and insurance and being after dark for people and whatever. But next time we get to do this, and we did it 30 years ago when we were on our pre-honeymoon. I don't know. It was just an awesome trip. We went backpacking up here for 5 nights or 4 nights, something like that. And then we did that float trip. But next time, I think we might try to do the lower part. So
yeah, that was wonderful.
Tell about our hike yesterday too, though. Afterwards.
All right.
I want you to hold it. I'm tired of holding it.
So we did that in the morning. We came back, of course, took naps and did some resting. And then we went out on a hike and went to Taggart Lake. Yeah, Taggart Lake hike. It was about 2 miles in and 2 miles out. So about a 4-mile hike-ish. Beautiful. I mean, right at the start, you cross a river and beautiful water coming down. And it's a mild hike. I mean, it's definitely doable. We're still adjusting to the altitude here. But Wes and I have been doing a lot of hiking in North Carolina, and so it was very doable, and hiked in to a beautiful mountain lake. Sarah and Robbie actually went swimming in the lake. It was ice cold. I did not swim, but I did put my feet in. So clear waters, a lot of families up there, just enjoyed, sitting and enjoying the views, and then came back. But as we were hiking back, Wes was kind of up ahead. Sarah looked up and, anyway, she saw a moose. which she had been wanting to see the entire time, the float trip and everything. She wanted to see a moose. So she saw a mama moose and a baby moose who was still so little. I know Wes made a YouTube reel out there of it, and it's just so precious. And anyway, so we got to watch, and we have to be really careful. Moose are very aggressive. They don't see very well, and they're prey animal, and so they're very sensitive to predators, and especially moms who have babies. And so we stood and watched, and there were other people on the trail as well, and warned people, but for a good while, until we could safely continue onto the trail. But oh man, it was magical. Moose are elusive. You don't always get to see them. But the Tetons are an area where, they're mostly sighted. Sometimes I guess you can see them in Yellowstone, but usually they prefer the lower altitudes because of the lake and the willows. Yeah, they love the marshes. They love the willows. That's mainly what they feed on. But anyway, it was just magical, and Wes got great film footage of it. Some people that we were kind of hiking with and waiting there with had also seen a bear across the river. So, even though there are hundreds of people out hiking on these trails, I mean, we are in the middle of natural habitat. It is not a zoo. And so you always have to be animal aware. But man, what a privilege, what an absolute privilege to be able to see wildlife. And we tried to be very safe and tried to give them their space because this is their home. And we want to be good stewards of the environment.
So today we are going to be headed up to Yellowstone Park, and I know that there's some of our children listening to this who know these things, but some of our other friends who are listening may not realize that my dad, who is our only remaining living parent, Tom, grew up in Powell, Wyoming, which is just near Cody, Wyoming, and Cody, sort of the gateway to Yellowstone in the east entrance. Yellowstone National Park has 5 entrances, north, south, east, and west, and then the northeast entrance, which is right by Cook City, Montana. That's actually our favorite entrance. So we're going to get to see at least 3 of the entrances because we're going to come up through the south today. Yellowstone's set up on 2 loops, an upper and lower loop. And so we're going to go on the western side of the lower loop to where Old Faithful is and Old Faithful Inn, and we'll see that geyser. We probably won't hike a lot today because people are feeling a little bit tired after yesterday's hike and excursion. But we're looking forward to introducing Robbie to Old Faithful and, well, all of Yellowstone, really. Jenna went ahead and went home, and so we're now a party of 4. One thing we didn't mention also is last night we had a chance to have a wonderful, wonderful dinner in what's called the mural room of Grand Teton Lodge, and it just looks out right out onto Mount Moran. Mount Moran does look like the tallest peak in the range as we sit here. The Grand is actually the tallest in the range, but it is just, it's so special. These are such young mountains. The guide that we had on our float trip had majored in geology and so knew a lot about geology and, was explaining that these mountains are only about 10 million years old. And the Appalachians and the Blue Ridge, which we're, getting to know much better now that we live in North Carolina, geologists believe, the height of the Rockies or maybe even higher, but they've just eroded down because they're so much older. And we love the natural beauty of both. This area gets so cold in the wintertime, and Jackson Lake that we're looking down on now completely freezes. I think they said, 6 or 7 feet deep, and you can, of course, walk right across it. But this area is just not very livable in the wintertime. And so summertime is the perfect time to be here. And so anyway, we'll make our way up today to the northeast entrance, and we're going to stay in Cook City, Montana for a couple nights. And we're hoping to see more animals and both, reliving some past experiences that we've had because we've been to this area. Again, Dad grew up in northwest Wyoming, and we used to come up, probably every 3 or 4 years growing up to this area, to his sister Marge's cabin and to see relatives in Cody. And so the wedding, and then we'll be going back up to a friend's cabin, one of Dad's best buddies, actually his best friend from like first grade on. And we'll get a chance to be there. So we're just very, very thankful for this time. So we're going to go to halftime, and then we'll talk a little bit about summer camp. But Shelly, any thoughts that you have? I know you've thought about grandchildren. We don't have any grandchildren, but you've thought about, experiences and things. What would you want to share with grandchildren and just with others who are coming to this area? What do you think makes this so special? And what, besides obviously seeing the baby moose, yesterday, and just seeing the vista of mountains, what's special about this, and what are the things you want to share with others?
Well, I think, being here with Sarah, and she's reliving memories that we've had when she was younger, and definitely wanting to share her love of this area with her boyfriend, Robbie. And so I think just making memories, having a legacy of being outdoors and a love of nature and a love of being active, a love of exploring. Those are all of the things that Wes and I have enjoyed doing together as a family. And so many things we did when they were really young and they don't fully remember. So it's just fun to share that and relive some of these memories with our adult children, and hopefully pass on the love of what we have of the mountains and nature and hiking and camping and just being together. It's so fun to look at the families that are here, and we live in such a fractured world right now, and with so much polarization and just digital pollution. And so it's really nice to, even though I have been on my device and appreciate Wi-Fi and staying in contact with house sitters and things, but just being still and unplugging and not having a hard schedule, being able to relax and refresh and renew. And that's what I would love to share and continue that love and that legacy as we move forward. And seeing our children do that with their significant others and enjoying that and looking forward to that. So that's a special time.
I'll say one more thing before halftime, and that is these clouds look like jellyfish. So there's not very many clouds that have developed yet. But here just over on this eastern side of Jackson Lake, there's these clouds, and there's rain falling out of them, but it's virga, which is rain that falls but then evaporates in the dry air that's below it. And so there's like 3 different clouds that look like jellyfish with these, dangling tentacles underneath, but it's the virga that's falling down into the dry air, which is just awesome. Which is a reminder that we need to be drinking water, because it's easy to get dehydrated here and be in altitude. So I've actually felt good about doing a little bit better job of that. Okay, time for halftime, and we'll come back and talk a little bit about summer camp highlights.
Hey there, North Carolina! Are you ready to experience a funnel cake revolution? It's time to meet Friar's Funnel Cakes, where tradition meets taste and deliciousness is just a bite away.
Created by 2 passionate school teachers, Friar's Funnel Cakes isn't just about satisfying your sweet tooth. It's a story of family, dedication, and a sprinkle of teachers' love in every bite.
Imagine a warm, golden funnel cake dusted with the perfect amount of powdered sugar. And wait for it, you get to drizzle as much or as little chocolate syrup as your heart desires.
Got an event? Want to bring some joy to your gathering? Friar's Funnel Cakes is ready to hit the road and bring our sizzling sweet sensations to you.
Don't just take our word for it. Here's what one of our satisfied customers had to say.
Well, I thought I'd had a good funnel cake, but, when I had one of them Friar's Funnel Cakes, it just set a new standard in taste and excellence. It's a game changer for sure.
So, what are you waiting for, Matthews? head over to our Facebook page at facebook.com/Friars Funnel Cakes, and let's make your next event a deliciously memorable one.
Hey, we are back from those delicious funnel cakes and barbecue happenings, whatever we advertised with on this one. So we love being school teachers. We love having time off in the summers to do trips like this. But it would not be possible if we didn't have the ability to earn some extra money along the way. Wes and I are passionate about space, and we're passionate about making websites and designing. And so it was really fun this year to participate in our school's summer camp options. Summer camp is a valuable tool for parents. To make sure that their kids are well taken care of in the summer, and maybe hopefully learning something and having some fun. So anyway, it was a very well-run summer camp. I was very pleased. I got an opportunity to teach some summer camp options. I did a engineering design, both for second and third graders and fourth and fifth graders, where we had different design challenges each day, and built things and hands-on, and oh boy, we had such a great time. A lot of tape. We used a lot of tape. And then also, of course, my love for space and getting to hopefully inspire the next generation and do some basic, what's going on in the world right now. Yes, we talked about historical Apollo 11 space program and the history of that, but also what's currently going on with our Artemis missions, and that's just a love I have. But I love sharing that with students, and so I did some of that where we built lunar modules, and we designed rockets, and we learned about the lunar lander and getting our astronauts back and safe. We developed heat shield technology. We tested things. We built things. Anyway, but perhaps my favorite summer camp, and this was something new that I did this year, was really focusing in on rockets. And so each day we were able to build a different type of rocket and launch them. I kind of scaffolded it so that that some of the techniques and some of the things that they learned on the first day would build on our accumulating activity, which were bottle rockets. And then we actually launched those water bottle rockets, and or air rockets,
Plastic bottle rockets.
Yeah. The younger students worked with 1 liter bottles, and the older students worked with 2 liter bottles. But we were able to launch those from one of our grass fields. And I think, some of them went as high as 200 feet, maybe. It was fun. It was really fun. And we worked on those for 2 days. So Wes helped me with that camp. But man, we had a blast. And, being able to do that, to teach and teach what we're passionate about and really just have fun ourselves, was so much fun, but also be able to earn some extra money so that we can take fabulous trips like this. What about you? What did you do in your summer camps, and what did you love about that?
Well, I just did 3 camps. The week of July 4th this year fell on Friday, and so we only had 4 days. And so we had a longer camp that week that was still the same cumulative amount of time, but it was just 4 days. And so that particular week, I did a coding Mars for rising 4th and 5th graders. The previous week, I had done 2, a web design camp for rising 4th and 5th graders, and building cool websites, I think I called it, and then a coding video games, which was with rising middle schoolers, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. My favorite one turned out to be web design. We're going to talk here in a minute about things we might want to do next year, ideas that we have. But we had so much fun with animals and building websites that, select an animal. It really is important today, I'm putting on the teacher hat here, to filter websites and especially to avoid wasting so much time, giving students, a set of websites to use or a tool like canva.com. We built our websites in both Google Sites and then in Adobe Express, the new Adobe Express. Both are free tools. They require a Google account to log in. Gosh, and on a technical note, I set up Minecraft accounts for my kids when we were doing Minecraft coding, and that was an absolute dream. But I had an account that I could log in for the kids with, and if they wanted to, they could bring their own Google account. But oh my gosh, that streamlined things so much. But I was kind of surprised that I enjoyed the website stuff so much. But I think it was the content and especially the animals. And I credit Shelly with helping alert me to that, because for years, at Cassidy School in Oklahoma City, where we were for years, I was there 7 years, you were there 5. We were in Oklahoma 16 years. Shelly discovered how much third graders loved animals, and they had these projects where they created these books. And then she's done, what's that called? Biomimicry, robotic projects. But anyway, kids love animals. I mean, we love animals. It's great to see animals out here in the wild. But that web design was a real highlight. With the coding class, I mainly worked in Scratch. I need to probably just spend more time myself in MakeCode Arcade. Microsoft's whole coding environment that's block-based for kids and is very Scratch-like. It's powerful, but it's much more recipe-oriented, and perhaps it's because, I've been using Scratch for 17 years. I know it so much better. I don't have quite the literacy and familiarity with MakeCode as I do with Scratch, but that has not stopped me from leading these camps, and I think from the kids learning a lot. The surprise in my Minecraft coding camp was that we ended up having a lot more open-ended kind of passion project design time where the kids created. And one of the things they wanted to do was make games, because you can make games, but it's challenging. We used some AI to try to help, come up with some creative ways to code some things we couldn't figure out. I do like that MakeCode flips between the block-based to JavaScript or Python. And so anyway, summer camp has always been a time for me to explore new things, try out stuff in sort of a lower stakes, more open-ended environment, because we're not taking grades and kids don't have to turn in an assignment. And so I'm definitely going to be using some of the things that we did, including these animal projects. I mean, it was just a great way to get kids excited. They had choices. They could pick what animals they wanted to do. We learned how to put, images and audio and video, and kids recorded their voices. We used Vocaroo. We, uploaded images, but we embedded things, and then we did do a travel website, which has been kind of probably the showcase project of that class. So anyway, that was great. And then it was also just wonderful to be Shelly's assistant, and she is such a wonderful teacher. She has such passion for, teaching, for students, for coding, for just engineering design and NASA and space exploration and all of that. And I think that's been a challenge being an assistant the past couple years. And so she's found through her after-school enrichment classes, and then also through the summer programming options that, she can really channel that passion and those loves and share those with students. So, Shelly, what are you thinking about for next year? And, any other things, I guess, that are highlights, but then what else for next year? What are you thinking about for Summer Camp 2026?
Well, just listening to you talk about animals, I did an extended day class with Legos, and we learned about the North Carolina Zoo and focused it on...
Second, third?
First and second. Oh. Yeah. So anyway, and I did that camp during that short week as well. So I would love to maybe build on that. You're right. Children of all ages enjoy learning about animals, people. Here we are. We're looking for moose. And the reason we come to Yellowstone, yes, I love the geothermal, but animals. So I was just thinking back as you were describing what I used to do with my third graders. I love my little Edison robots. Man, I would love to have a set of my own. Edison robots. It's just a small robot. It's really easy to code. We used our iPads when we were a one-to-one iPad school in Oklahoma City. But being able to use that to code its animals, and that's when we did the biomimicry. And
Kids would take Lego, build
yeah,
Lego
you could
onto-
build. Yeah, they were Lego compatible. We had a lot of fun learning about coding, but really not coding for coding's sake, but coding for a purpose, purposeful coding. It's great for computational thinking. It's great for creativity. The students, we had a librarian at that time that helped us 3D print some caps that would put on top where we could actually put tape and, oh, I love my tape, tape and feathers and, actually build the animal and then code it to move throughout its environment and code it to, find it, whether it was a prey or whether it was a predator and how did it move and where did it find its food. And so we did a lot of research ahead of time. Maybe we could work together on a camp like that. But, and then did some simple green screen video. And so anyway, it was fun. I had fun. The students had fun. So maybe doing that, I'll have to figure out a way to fund my Edison robots. But having a class set like that. I love the idea of purposeful coding. I love the idea of purposeful video. I love the idea of learning about things that the kids are really interested in. That's what's awesome about summer camp is that their parents sign them up to have fun. It's summer, but learn in a fun way. And it's laid back and it's creative and so maybe working with something like that. We have to get these courses turned in by October, so we're really having to mull them over. So this is a great opportunity. I definitely want to continue with my SAFE. Oh, and with that, we could actually take a field trip. Field trips are, I know parents get out and do things, but, who doesn't like going to the zoo? We also talked about maybe doing some outdoor education things. City kids don't always get the opportunity, but to get out in nature and explore. So it might be really fun to do some outdoor education. I have some background in that. I used to be a camp counselor with the campfire. And Wes was, of course, an Eagle Scout and grew up that way. So, going fishing. How many kids get to go fishing? Kids love that. I had a student, oh my goodness, in Oklahoma City who, we had a little lake on our campus. And, the kids, I wasn't really supposed to, but they would get in the water and try to catch fish. And oh my gosh, sometimes I just looked the other way, kept them safe, of course. But, kids love that. And we have so many neat places just within our local area to go out and do a nature hike and learn about birds and learn about the different types of wildflowers. And so I think that would be really fun to do something along that.
This is an aside, but can you tell about Parks and Focus and that fishing story from Positive Tomorrows?
Oh, my goodness. So at Oklahoma City, I also taught at a wonderful school, Positive Tomorrows, which is the only, there may be one in California, but a school that was specifically for homeless children. A beautiful school. If you've never heard of it, please look up Positive Tomorrows in Oklahoma City. They're accredited school. Anyway, at the time I was working there, we worked with a nonprofit called Parks in Focus, and they would come and they would bring digital cameras, and we would go out and explore in our areas because a lot of city kids don't get the opportunity to explore nature. And what was really awesome about that, giving a student a camera allowed them to really focus in on nature. We took pictures of flowers and wildlife, and they looked at things from different angles. They'd get on the ground and take pictures of trees going up, and it really gave them a different perspective and an appreciation. It was supported by the Udall Foundation. And so, but I can remember one time we were out on a nature opportunity. We were going fishing. We took the kids fishing. And I think it was supported by,
Kevin Durant's foundation?
No. It was supported by probably the park system. Anyway, so they provided all the equipment and we learned and did a little nature hike. And, but as I was, we were using Seesaw at that time to let parents and send parents pictures and send parents information about what we were doing. And I had one mother who saw the picture of her son who had taken a picture of the fish that he had caught And she said, "Oh, he's always wanted to catch a fish. I'm so excited that he's had this opportunity." So children of all ages need an appreciation of what is possible in their environments, not as to what is going to limit it, but what is going to open doors. And so we'll always remember that opportunity of just getting out into nature, and kids of all backgrounds and all city kids and country kids, need an opportunity to explore and see things from different perspectives. So that was a great thing we did.
Here's a moment of pedagogy. So John Dewey, education as experience, when you are going to the zoo, when you are building a rocket, when you are catching a fish and taking a picture and documenting nature, these are real experiences. And so often in school, because we can confine ourselves to four walls and sitting in a desk and being still and working on a piece of paper, we have to sort of make up what we try to create as educative experiences. And so I think that one of the things you could probably hear through our description of our summer camps and these kinds of experiences and thinking about outdoor education is just how important experiences are. And then wedding those experiences, which build schema in the mind of the human, in the human brain, to writing or to, creative expression, making art or making a podcast or making a video or whatever, like ways that you can express your learning, you can deepen it, you can reflect on your learning. So 2 areas in addition to what we've already said and Shelly shared about ideas with, maybe biomimicry and animals and kind of being a little more content focused. I definitely want my summer camps to be entrees and invitations for students to take my elective classes. I'm currently teaching 3 primary middle school classes, and so I teach web design, I teach computer programming and introduction to coding, and then I teach what's called computer applications. It's really like a making media and media literacy class. I would love to do something with aerospace. So when my dad was with us for Christmas, we went out to the new Sullenberger Museum that is in Charlotte. And if you haven't watched Miracle on the Hudson, that is an incredible movie. The actual aircraft that was, Sullenberger, Sully, landed on the Hudson River is there at that museum in Charlotte, because American Airlines bought U.S. Air, and that was a U.S. Air aircraft. But it just goes a little bit further out there. We went a little bit further yesterday, but I don't know. We just kind of came out to this point.
It's not very far. It's very mild.
Giving some instructions to another visitor here. Anyway, that museum is new. There's all kinds of aircraft there. There are both fixed wing and rotary wing aircraft, military as well as civilian. But there's this whole emphasis on opening the eyes of kids to careers in aerospace. And that's also space, ladies and gentlemen, astronautical engineering. So we're going to find out from our leader of camp what the guidelines are for field trips, because it'd be wonderful to learn about aerospace, learn a little about, how lift works, how does the airfoil work, and, learning a little bit about what that is with rotary wing and fixed wing aircraft, and maybe having a pilot come in, having a female pilot come in, but then taking a field trip to the Sullenberger Museum. And then what'd be super cool is before we left Oklahoma City, we learned about the Young Eagles Project, or the Young Eagles Program. And so all over the United States, aviation enthusiasts want, young kids to experience flight, not to just look at a picture, not to just imagine, but like actually go on an orientation flight. And so these Young Eagle programs provide opportunities for kids for free to be able to have an orientation flight. And so wouldn't it be wonderful to sort of connect with the aerospace community around Charlotte? And man, it's diverse. Like there's folks making very high-tech hybrid metals that are like classified for some of our ultra high-performance space vehicles. Shelly says I'm getting too excited. She's telling me to get quiet. anyway, like there's different, there's all these different opportunities. And I think raising awareness for children, for kids, for people, like what possibilities are out there and what do you love, and we all don't get to work in the areas necessarily that we love. And sometimes we have jobs we just have to take, and we've all done that before. But if you have a passion for something and a love for something and you want to learn more about that, and then there's also careers and jobs in that area, that can be you can be a sort of a matchmaker, I think, as an educator, as a parent, grandparent, whatever. So aerospace would be an area. And then I'd love to do something with cooking. Maybe this is just something we do with an outdoor ed camp. Our friend and colleague, Lewis, who is now the, sixth grade? What grade does he do? He's elementary, lower school science, right? One of our science teachers. And by the way, shout out to both Lewis and Olga, who, encouraged us, and we got to borrow the rocket launcher for the air rockets that we launched. We did a few water ball rockets. But anyway, he did, what did he call it? Roughing it as a camp a few years ago. They had to go off site to have a campfire and cook s'mores and stuff, but learning a few basics. So I'd love to do something that had to do with basic cooking. Again, our friend Michelle Freeland, who led a bunch of camps with Shelly and on her own, she really loved doing basic cooking camps. Teaching kids how to make macaroni and cheese, how to cook grilled cheese, how to make basic kinds of things. And so it might be possible.
They got fancy too. I think they did sushi. I mean,
oh really?
Yeah. They did some really cool things.
Yeah. So that'd be really cool. So that's of course a love I have. And if you don't know, I'm have this. Well, all of our family recipes are on food.wesfryer.com. I have a Cook with Wes channel on TikTok and publish videos on my YouTube channel. By the way, Shelly's rocket stuff. Her lessons for the rocket camp, we did reactivate her classroom website, which you can find at classroom.shellyfryer.com, and maybe sharing some more things. She's got great slideshows that she's created, and she's learned the importance of also saving on her own Google account some of that kind of stuff, because there were a number of lessons and things that she did in the past that she ended up kind of losing as we have switched schools and stuff like that. And so anyway, those are some thoughts about the future. So you want to wrap us up with a culminating thought or message, and then we probably better go find Robbie and Sarah.
Yeah. I just want to encourage all the listeners out there, families, students. Hey, shout out to Jason. Jason, if you have heard this, I definitely love being a teacher and love inspiring you. And I love watching you learn and navigate classes and your love of theater. And you're the reason, students are the reason that we continue to learn and curious and want to share. So anyway, shout out to Jason if you're listening. But also, I just appreciate Wes and I, we love being active and curious together and supporting each other as educators. We love being parents and sharing our love with our own children and someday grandchildren. But I just want to encourage everyone to, like Wes said, if you're passionate about something, if you're excited about something, if you're curious about something, go for it. Life is too short. And I don't think I will ever be an astronaut, but I can sure love learning about it. And who knows, but I say go with your passions and explore and be curious.
You know how people become astronauts.
Yeah, by applying.
That's right. Maybe you should apply.
Yeah.
All right. So everybody, remember our slogan? Stay outside. No. Stay outside and never go in. No, that's not what we say.
I don't know. We always forget this part.
Go outside. Stay curious.
And keep exploring. That's right.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.
Wes and Shelly Share is a weekly podcast recorded and published on Sundays by Wesley and Shelly Fryer of Matthews, North Carolina. Learn more and find links to connect on social media to Wes and Shelly by visiting shellyfryer.com/podcast. Content on this podcast is licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution Only 3.0 license. The Wes and Shelly Share podcast is recorded and published with Anchor and distributed on all major podcast channels, including Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, and more. Please share our show on social media and tell others about us. Let us know on Facebook or via other means what you like about the show, that you're listening, and if you have any suggestions for future episodes. Stay curious, go outside, and keep exploring.